had an awesome run with Jimmy, and it was great. But when you bring in a salary cap and things like that, there's just so many tough decisions you have to make. And we made that a year ago, and we got to here. And I was so happy how Jimmy played last year and that he took us almost to the Super Bowl, got healthy, guys around him played real well around him. But this is something that we did last year, knowing where we wanted to go with this franchise and how you balance out a salary cap, how you balance out a roster. And Jimmy gave Trey a year that I thought he needed just to get used to this league, to get his feet wet a little bit. And I think our team's ready for Trey. I'm going through OTAs, and I'm just pumped to get to work and provide him some practices because I know the kid has the ability. He's made of the right stuff. He just needs the reps, and he's got to start banking those. And it's not just out there, but it's the games too. So can't wait to get started with him.
You know, there's a habit of certain interviews getting put in the bank and being released right before the start of camp. And I heard something Shanahan said there that made me think this was an interview that was maybe taped several weeks ago, because they said something about going through OTAs. I may have to listen to it again, but I'm always reading and looking for things that would suggest it's not a brand new interview that wasn't just done the other day. My point, though, is this. We have come a long way, regardless of when that interview happened. We've come a long way from Jed York suggesting with a straight face that they were going to keep both guys and pay Jimmy. You know, the whole Joe Montana to Steve Young thing, and Steve Young sat for 4 years. That's bullcrap on its face.
Right.
And you know what? It may just be that Kyle has decided. And if this is the case, bravo. We're done with all this bullshit about playing this game with Jimmy G. There is no benefit to Trey Lance to continue to play this stupid-ass game that we're not going to win. We're not going to get a second-round pick for Garoppolo. He's not going to get $25 million this year from some other team. We're just probably going to have to cut him. It doesn't matter. He's done. He's gone. Trey Lance, it's your team. That had to be done. The game they were playing with Jimmy G was hurting the development of Trey Lance, and to his credit, Kyle Shanahan has figured it out.
I hope so. I do. And it does seem that way. It does. Again, is Trey Lance going to be as good as Jimmy Garoppolo right off the bat? No, probably not. As we talked about back in the spring, he might not be as surgical and as consistent with making decisions and all that. But still, do I think the 49ers offense can be more dangerous with Trey Lance at quarterback, even though he might not be as good in those some areas? Yes, I do. Because of his skill set and Shanahan's genius, I think he's going to be able to couple that together with, you're going to have to defend more of the field now with Trey Lance because he has a way bigger arm and he will throw the ball down the field and outside the numbers where Jimmy Garoppolo didn't want to throw the ball at all. So I think that's going to make them dangerous. And then, of course, his ability to run the quarterback design runs and then all the runs he can do off of the other runs. Again, that's where I think it might not be as clean quarterback way, but it can make them a more dangerous offense. And I hope they're going that way because as we discussed, there is zero benefit for a Trey Lance who we know is not perfect yet. He's still learning, like Kyle Shanahan said, needs reps and needs to continue to do that. There just makes no sense for Jimmy Garoppolo to be there and then start to have the murmuring, man, Jimmy looks good. Man, hey, this is another practice today. I mean, Jimmy didn't miss a pass today. Man, Trey missed that check. Trey missed, 3 or 4 wide open guys. And, I mean, that to me, you're just asking for a disaster. So that's why it's got to come to an end at some point. And as you and I both know, this team's real. They're a Super Bowl team. That's why I would not want to mess with this too long.
They made the bed in March of 2021 when they made the trade. Regardless of how they got to Trey Lance, and regardless of who may believe that they were actually looking at someone else with that third overall pick, at some point, you've just got to go with the guy you have. You got to rip the Band-Aid off, and you got to move forward. That's why I'm giving Kyle Shanahan credit here. Somebody had to do it. There were too many cooks. There's too many brains in the brain trust in San Francisco, I think. And they get paralyzed at times. And everybody has a bright idea, and they try to make these big, high-level concepts work. At a certain point, you got to simplify it. And it's not good for Trey Lance to have Jimmy Garoppolo hanging around. And so what if we don't get a significant draft pick for Jimmy G? He's gone. He's done. We're moving on to Trey Lance. So I'm giving Kyle Shanahan, I'm trying to give him not a backhanded compliment, a forehanded compliment.
Yeah.
I'm trying to make it clear that somebody needed to show real leadership in that organization because they were spinning their wheels in the mud trying to outsmart everybody when they weren't going to outsmart anyone except themselves on this whole Jimmy G thing.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.